Hello everybody. My name is Reverend Dr. Red, and as you can see by the flag behind me, I'm speaking to you from America. If there's any of you from whatever nation that may be listening to this message that can translate this, I ask you if you can please download the video and re-upload it to your respective YouTube channels with the translation in your respective languages. With a link back to this video, so anybody that can comment on this video, so I can respond to them. With any questions or whatever that anybody might have. My message to the people of the world is this. There are many nations out there that are viewing the American people and the American government as one entity. And they are blaming America as a whole for the hardship that is happening globally, as well as to their respective nations. Now, granted, the American government is supposed to be of the American people, by the American people, for the American people, as stated in our Constitution. It is not. You can see tyranny managed to sneak through the checks and balances of the Constitution. There is a small global elite that currently reigns over via puppet politicians over the vast majority of the nations in the world. You can determine this by looking at the member nations of the United Nations or the International Monetary Fund, the international banking system, etc., etc., etc. But the American government is not listening to the American people. There is a large percentage of the American populace that are demanding that certain actions being taken internationally be stopped, that certain actions taking place within our own borders be stopped, and that certain actions within our own borders be taken. And that is not happening. They're not listening to the majority voice. They're listening to the minority voice. Any messages that come across that where it appears as though the American people support such actions being taken place within our own borders, as well as in nations outside of our borders, it's because the leftist liberal voice has a louder voice than the conservative voice, primarily for the reason that they are all backed by international organizations and the international elite. That and the conservative voice is being silenced. A lot of conservatives are being brushed off as conspiracy theorists, right-wing extremists, etc. and so on. In a law passed by Obama, if you are a Christian, if you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in state sovereignty, everything that America is supposed to stand for, you're considered a potential domestic terrorist in the eyes of Obama and his regime. There is currently a slow but sure attack on Christianity and on the American populace as a whole taking place in America. They are kowtowing to a Marxist mindset, to Marxist values. The vast majority of our politicians in office are puppets for the global elite. The same global elite that are also controlling over several nations, possibly yours as well. Evidence of this can be seen by whether or not your politicians currently in office are financially backed by the international banking system in any way, shape, or form, or if they're related to any members of the global elite, and if they're seemingly pushing laws that go against the laws and the constitutions of your respective nations, and are pushing more of a globalist type agenda. I ask all of you of every nation that's coming across this message to please look into Agenda 21, because that is what is really going on here. They're looking for a one world government, a one world religion, and to depopulate the globe to a rough estimated number of approximately 500 million. So this is not an attack being brought on by the people of any one nation, especially not the people of America. It is being done by the global elite that have their puppets in political offices of the American government and other governments around the world. I know it sounds completely crazy, but if you look into it for yourselves, you will see that what I am speaking of is actually taking place. I mean, here in America, they're not even hiding it anymore. They're actually having commercials promoting the suicide of the elderly, amongst other things, and then putting the United Nations logo in the bottom corner of the screen with the words Agenda 21 beneath the logo. So they're not even hiding what they're doing anymore. Then more recently, as I found out earlier today, that through different programs for the news that America broadcasts out to other nations is more or less pro-American government propaganda that now they are allowed to do within our own borders, as if that wasn't already taking place with the likes of CNN, NBC, MSNBC, etc., and so on. That more or less already, for decades went from being actual investigative journalism to sitcoms. They're only telling us, one, what the government is allowing them to tell us, and two, they're only airing what would bring ratings as opposed to the actual news. So most Americans that are not aware of what is actually taking place in other nations and who is really responsible for what actions is because they're going by strictly American media, mainstream media, and they're not looking into it any deeper. They're blindly soaking up whatever information is being fed to them by the mainstream media, also known by many as the United States government propaganda machine, because in all reality, that's exactly what it is. It's, a bunch of propaganda being spewed to us by the globalist elite. Only very few Americans, or a small percentage of Americans, if they still view the mainstream media, will also look at alternative news media, and a larger percentage strictly look at alternative news media for their information, or independent journalists, independent bloggers, for their information. Because it's becoming known to a larger and larger percentage of Americans that the mainstream media is nothing more than a propaganda machine for the globalist elite and for the American government. What appears to be the voice of the American people en masse is really just the fact that the conservative voice is being silenced within our own borders, and possibly, because obviously I don't live in these other nations, so I don't know how widespread the actual media coming out of America actually is, if not entirely being silenced, going outside of America's borders. So in all actuality, I have no idea how far widespread this video is actually going to make it. But I'm going to try. So you see, the American government and American people are not the same entity. The American people understand that people all around the world want their freedom, and that the government is willingly supplying military arms, and in some instances actual foot soldiers and all-out attacks, aiding the terrorist organizations to topple the regimes, which is kind of a catch-22, considering we were told that we're fighting a war on terrorism, but then our government is going to go ahead and back organizations such as Al-Qaeda. The American people are trying to salvage what's left of our freedoms in this country, and we certainly do not want to see the freedoms in any other country lost. Okay? So it is not us doing anything to you. It is our government. and us, the American citizens, do not agree with the actions of our government. We are currently working on fighting back against our government to reinstate not only our freedoms, but to stop the acts of terror that our government is enacting on other nations. You need to understand that many of you live in nations where your political leaders are also puppets for the global elite. Okay? So you really need to pay attention. For those in the nations that are currently in a revolution, when the time comes that the tyrant gets toppled, be sure that whoever you're putting in power is going to give you your freedom, and that there is no way, shape, or form that a tyrant can rise to power again. And that is one thing that the American people are working on here with our government. Get the tyrants currently in office out and replace them with us, the American citizens, the people that want our freedoms, and try to separate ourselves and our country from this global Marxist agenda that is currently sweeping this globe en masse. I don't want this video to get too long. Just please understand that the American people are with you. We don't want to see anybody get hurt or lose their freedoms for any reason. We, the global citizens of this planet, need to ensure that our common enemy does not continue to divide us and use their propaganda to alter our perception of reality, and realize that we are a united people, and we must unite as a global people and topple our common enemy, that enemy being the global elite. It is not the people of any one nation that's going against you and your nation. It is the governments of that nation. And there is battles going on that's more than likely not being shown to you in these respective nations, including here in America, against those governments by those governments' peoples. And I can assure you that the American people are in a fight right now, every which way we can within the confines of America's laws, to combat what is currently going on in the American government and to stop the tyrannical takeover of our nation by the global Marxist elite that are currently trying to form a one-world religion, one-world government. And I wish you all, on behalf of the American citizens, luck in reaching your freedom in your respective nations. And I wish you all luck, on behalf of the American citizens, of instituting a free government of your people over your people. Just please make sure that when you do so, you have checks and balances in place that a tyrant cannot rise. And when America, the citizens of America, finally have our government back in our grasps, we will obviously have to do the same and make certain that a tyrant cannot sneak through the checks and balances again and hijack our nation for the second time. Now that it's obviously happened the first time, when we finally have our government back in our hands, we'd have to make sure that what happened now cannot happen again. The American government is not acting on behalf of the American people in any way, shape, or form. So please do not be angry with the American citizens for that of which the American government is doing. The American citizens do not condone much of what the American government is doing. The American government is not currently acting on behalf of the American people. It is currently acting against the American people. We are actually watching our Constitution being systematically destroyed and our freedoms being taken away from us. And we are currently in the fight to hold on to those freedoms and reinstate our constitutional law. And if anybody has any comments or questions, because I don't want the video to go on for too long, leave them in the comment section and I'll answer them as best as I can. I will also have links in the description section to my websites, as well as my Twitter page and my Facebook page. You can also leave me a message there, and I'll answer any comments or questions there. If anybody downloads this video to add the translation in your respective language, please also include a link to this video, as well as to my websites and my Twitter page and my Facebook page down below, so that anybody who's watching my video on your channel also has a means of contacting me for any information or any questions that they might have. I thank you all for watching. Please get this message out far and wide over any social media that you may have an account with. And remember, we are a global people. We must stand united as a global people against our common enemy, that being the global elite. God bless.